You know, it all began when we started having kids, and we had our kids had health problems. And in a nutshell, our twin daughters were diagnosed with cystic fibrosis, and we were forced to. There are some people that want to change because they want to just increase in health and get better, become more vibrant. And then there's others that have to change.
Well, I started back in 1965, my health journey. My sister-in-law worked in a health store, and I used to nose around at the books, and there was one book that stood out. It was Paul Bragg, and the book was called Miracles of Fasting. And here's this guy, he's like 90 years old, full head of hair, tan. I'm going, what is this guy doing? And there was a line in the book that sparked my interest at a very young age. I think I was around 13 years of age. And the book said, why grow old? And I said, what does he mean, why grow old? What you put in today will be walking and talking tomorrow.
And I'm sorry to say I had to change. I had health problems myself, and we had a set of twin daughters that were, they were dying. So we were promised by a lady, a friend, that promised us that if we would do what she told us to do, that we'd never have our babies back to the doctor or the hospital ever again. She said our answer lies in nature. So we went to nature, and it took some time. It took some years to overcome their problems and overcome my health problems. But it's not a theory. This is not a theory for me. This is the truth. And it has absolutely changed our lives. And that's what put our feet on the path.
The movie Pumping Iron came out around 1975 or so, and the bodybuilding competitive bug, I got the bug to compete. So that kind of led me astray from my diet. My diet, I was actually primarily almost a vegetarian, juicing, fasting, cleansing. What I read in the books, you can't build muscle that way. You can't build muscle on a vegetarian diet. You got to eat meat and eggs, and I kind of got led astray.
Once we found out that what we put in our mouth has something to do with how we feel, something to do with how we think, which is an amazing thing to me, it became apparent that we wanted to keep tweaking the diet as we learn more.
The supplements I used back then was whey. And mostly it was primarily back then, it was a lot of meat, eggs, tuna, so that was, and eating 6 meals a day. So the thing what I've learned, you get cosmetically looks good, but it caught up to me later. Around the age of 45, still trained hard, but my body wasn't going there. My joints were sore, my lower back, my shoulders, had a hard time getting out of bed. I was starting to feel very toxic. Even though I had the mentality to train hard, my body seemed like it was breaking down. So what I did, I started researching back again. Can I build muscle on a plant-based diet? I felt better when I was on plant-based. I felt clean.
So I became acquainted with Nick Stern about 2007 in Sedona, Arizona. And we were all sitting around talking. It was late at night, and I was getting sleepy. But the first time I saw Nick, I'm going, wow, this guy's big.
And I guess I kind of shocked Denley a little bit because I had muscle. I kind of standed out a little bit in that group. And he was wondering how I had such muscle. I said, well, I said, be honest, Denley. I said, a lot of these vegetarians, I don't know if they're getting enough protein. You hear you don't need that much protein, but if you're an athlete, or if you're training like me, you have to have protein, because I had my amino acids profiles done and checked, and I was deficient on amino acids. And that's kind of what led to Sunwarrior. And I said, Denley, we hit it off good. And I said, Denley, wouldn't it be great if we had a good tasting protein? A lot of the proteins that were out there at that time didn't really taste good to me. And for me to stay on a diet, it's got to taste good too. And that's kind of what led to Sunwarrior and Denley, and then to our partnership.
We know that once you cook a protein, and if it's overheated, it becomes deranged and hard to assimilate. In fact, heating any food becomes denatured and deranged. That's why raw living protein is so essential for the body.
So instead of having eggs and bacon for breakfast or whatever, I have my Warrior blend, which is cranberry, hemp, and pea protein. And what we found is more bioavailable. I've found out that a lot of meat and stuff, you're really only absorbing maybe 20%. The bioavailability is what counts. And we're big on the raw. All our proteins are done with no chemical extractions. They're done with basically enzymes, cold, with no heat involved, so you do not denature the protein.
Protein is something that we all need every day. It is a macronutrient, not a micronutrient, and so our bodies don't store protein. So it has to be a daily intake of nutrients. And so that's why our Sunwarrior, we say, instead of a steak, have a shake.